In this video, we'll go over how to use slaking in Pokemon Sleep. I did make a slight oopsie in my ingredient magnet S video, and so this video is to compensate for that to a small degree. The thing with slaking though is it is a very strange Pokemon, and the more you look at the slaking, the more confused I get personally, and so let's talk about it. The number one thing here is its weird main skill, Ingredient Magnet S, with the 6.6% skill rate. Slaking is a skill specialist, but it's a berry specialist. It's a dual specialist. This was something that Brovini pointed out to me a good while back in one of his videos, and I thought it was so strange. And now we have it here in the whole setup. So what's very strange is the actual specialty here is berry. So every time slaking produces something, it's going to drop 2 berries. But as a berry specialist, it has an awful ingredient rate of 33%, which means 2 out of 3 times it's going to drop ingredients and not berries, even though it's a berry specialist. So it also has 6.6% on the skill rate, and Gardevoir, which is one of the best Pokemon in the game, has 4.2%. Obviously, you can't compare one-to-one the main skills, but like for most berry specialists and ingredient specialists, having anything above 2% or better yet 3% like the Steelix is very uncommon. And so slaking is just strange. The 33% here, for the most part, you want to minimize as much as possible. And I think that is one of the only clear things that we can see early on here with the slaking. The reason is the ing list here is very, very lackluster. It is the one thing here that I can really point out and be confident about with the slaking. You don't want these ingredients. We can have a look at them. We have the tomato, 110. We have the honey, 101, and then we have the apple, 90. These are some of the worst ingredients in terms of fillers, and the number of drops here is so low that for the most part these will be used as filler ingredients with very small values. So we can at least establish that the ingredient drop rate here we need to get rid of as much as we can, and it's not going to farm the ingredients because none of those ingredients are particularly interesting. If I was to, I guess the tomato, honey, apple as a mixed set here could potentially be an idea, or the double honey. I personally am not too fan of the tomatoes, even though it has a bit higher value in terms of the filler, but we don't want that. So I'm thinking we should probably go for something like this, where you get the main skill chance up by 20%, that's going to be massive, and you get the ingredient finding down. But then again, you don't really care too much about the ingredient magnet here, but you kind of do because it's got such a high percentage here. The one thing that does hold the slaking down is the speed. So at this point, we definitely want the helping speed M, and I would think potentially also that we want the skill trigger M. As a dual specialist, you want the berries and you want the skills, and then potentially also we could wait a little bit with the skill trigger M. We can hope for the skill or the sub skill speed in the second, and maybe somehow we can find the berry finding S in that first slot. Something like this could potentially be good on the slaking. The ingredient magnet S makes it so that if you find a skill level up M, maybe slaking is one of those dual specialists that kind of can make use of the skill level up M. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you would be interested in that. What's very strange too is the inventory here, and that makes it a little bit awkward in terms of it being a berry specialist and a skill specialist with this skill trigger rate. because the berry specialist wants sneaky snacking, but the skill specialist don't. Like, it really does not want the sneaky snacking because the cap of the skill trigger is held back, and overall it's just very, very odd of a Pokemon. The Person Berry is favorite at Snowdrop, so it could be the case that Slaking is able to put in some work at Snowdrop, but yeah, I don't know. It's just an odd Pokemon. Now we do have the Slakoth, and then we have the Vigoroth, and we can take a look at these as well. So if we compare these two evolutions, it's not necessarily obvious which one you should choose. The Vigoroth is a berry specialist as well, has the same berry, it is faster, and it has lower inventory, and it has a lower ingredient drop rate, and it doesn't really have any of the skill shenanigans that Slaking has. Overall, the Vigoroth is among some of the lower tier Pokemon in terms of berry specialist, but like if you, for example, happen to find a BFS helping speed Slakoth, then evolving it into Vigoroth could make sense. And then essentially, if you hunt a bunch of Slakoth, then if you find one that suits better as a Vigoroth, you can just not evolve it into a Slaking. Or at the other side of the discussion, if you find a Slakoth that really doesn't work as a Vigoroth but really does work as a Slaking, maybe you can like dual hunt the species where you just go for like 20 or 30 Slakoth, just go way in there, and within those 30 encounters, maybe you get both a good Slaking and a Vigoroth, and then you have a decent combo there for the Snowdrop Tundra. But overall, I would say Slaking is probably a Pokemon to stay away from for the most part. I personally would say, maybe this is a bit too harsh, but I placed it in D tier. Same as a Vigoroth, and we'll get back into that with some more tier list videos, some more in-depth videos on the various Pokemon. But yeah, overall, Slaking not among the best Pokemon in my book, and the main reason is it's totally confused. It's got high ingredient drop rate, but it's a berry specialist, and as a berry specialist you don't really want the skill because you want the sneaky snacking, but it has the skill trigger rate of a skill specialist, and it's slow. So with the awful ingredient list as well, I just can't make my mind up on this Pokemon, so I've placed it in the D tier personally, and I'm super curious to hear what you guys think of Slaking in the comments. Put your thoughts down there, and maybe we can give the thumbs up here at the end. You see this, camera? I want the thumbs up. Doesn't want to give it to me.